When the rescue crew arrived, the lighthouse was still running. The light was on. The machinery was working. But the 3 men assigned to keep it that way were gone. No distress call, no warning, no bodies. Inside, everything looked recently used, and the last logbook entry had been written just hours earlier. Whatever happened here didn't unfold slowly. It happened all at once, and whatever took them left the light behind. The lighthouse stood alone on a remote island. No nearby towns, no easy access, no witnesses. The only people stationed there were 3 keepers. Their job was simple: maintain the light, record conditions, and remain on schedule. It was routine work, predictable, quiet, the kind of place where nothing unusual ever happens, until the day the supply ship arrived, and no one was there to meet it. The crew waited at the dock. That was standard protocol. One of the keepers should have been there. But the dock was empty. No movement, no voices, no signal from inside. They called out across the rocks. Nothing answered. After a few minutes, they made a decision. They would go up to the lighthouse themselves to figure out what had gone wrong. Inside, everything looked normal. The beds had been slept in. A meal sat unfinished on the table. One chair was slightly out of place, but there were no signs of panic, no damage, no forced entry. It looked like 3 people had simply stopped what they were doing and left at the exact same time. And that was the first thing that didn't make sense. The logbook was still open. Every lighthouse kept one: weather conditions, maintenance notes, routine entries. The writing was steady, calm, ordinary. Nothing unusual reported. No storms, no danger, no warning signs. The final entry ended mid-shift, just hours before the supply ship arrived. After that, nothing. And that's when investigators realized whatever happened here wasn't recorded. But one detail stood out immediately. One of the keepers' coats was missing. The other 2 were still hanging inside. That meant 1 man had gone outside. But why would the others follow, without taking their own gear? On an island where weather could turn deadly in minutes. That decision didn't make sense, and it raised a bigger question. Did they all leave together? Or did something happen after the first man stepped out? The search moved outside. The terrain was rough, wet, unforgiving. But there were no footprints, no signs of a struggle, no equipment disturbed, and no indication that a boat had been used. It was as if the men had stepped outside and simply disappeared, not drifted away, not fallen, just gone. And the longer investigators looked, the less the scene made sense. The lighthouse itself was still functioning perfectly. The light rotated on schedule. The systems were properly maintained. Nothing had been left unfinished, which meant someone had been there very recently, long enough to keep everything running, but not long enough to leave any trace of where they went next. And that contradiction would become one of the most unsettling parts of the case. At first, the explanation seemed simple: an accident, a rogue wave, a sudden fall near the cliffs. But that theory didn't hold, not for all 3 men, not without a single trace left behind, and not with the lighthouse still running as if nothing had happened. The more investigators examined the scene, the less any natural explanation seemed to fit. Other possibilities started to emerge. Something they saw, something they heard, something that caused all 3 to leave at once, without thinking, without preparing. But there was no evidence of intrusion, no signs that anyone else had been on the island, only the silence they left behind, and a lighthouse that never stopped working. Over time, theories replaced answers. Some believed it was a chain reaction. One man goes out, something happens, the others follow. But even that didn't explain the lack of evidence. No bodies recovered, no debris, no signals, just absence, and questions that never fully went away. The official conclusion was simple: accidental loss at sea, case closed. But even those involved admitted the details didn't fully add up. Too many inconsistencies, too many unanswered questions, and no clear explanation for how 3 experienced men could vanish without leaving anything behind. The lighthouse was eventually automated. No keepers were ever stationed there again. But the story remained. 3 men, 1 island, no explanation, and a light that continued to burn long after they were gone, as if nothing had happened at all.